Greetings, greetings all. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource Channel, the original channel. Want to welcome everyone. The topic of this video is going to be my road to recovery as my back is healing up slowly. And then I also wanted to discuss Prophet Rosalind Solomon's word. I didn't have enough to fit it in the title, the description, but this is in reference to prophetic word that she had given me, or you could say like a warning some years ago. I wanted to confirm. I never got around to mentioning this. Uh, that I wanted to let her know she was right. Uh, and I didn't. I had always been meaning. I didn't get a chance to because through Currency 365, this has been a while ago. She had reached out to me at the time, and I completely forgot because throughout the years, the months have gone by as different things. I can't remember specifically at that time, even though I have a good memory as far as what I was dealing with or what I was going through. But I want to say, overall, she was on point. The message that Currency 365 was concerned about at that time. By the way, it dealt with hopefully, if I don't forget, I wanted to touch on that prophetic word that she had given me. You could say it was like a warning. She said that there were some people at the time that wanted to cause harm or were after me. By the way, and I wanted to confirm that word it manifested that was true at the time. And I think some things have changed. By the way, down the road as we're this many you could say years into the future now, because time has gone by, but I never got around to confirming. And I had some testimonies as well to share with you all that I had I had a dream last year, and I mentioned one of the dreams in a previous video about the price of H bar going up. As we the bull market is still not completely over with. So some could say the best is yet to come, but I can say in a sense my dream at the time didn't let me know. I had a good feeling that compared to where I had bought in at during the bear market, was a small amount, and then where it had the amount it had gone up to was quite well so far. Even though some say we haven't reached the peak of this bull market. Um, when it comes to cryptos, I'm not an expert, by the way, just sharing my feedback. But I wanted to let you guys know that appears that info I shared at the time had manifested, and something else amazing that had happened to me. I didn't really, I can't remember if I went into details about this with you all. That there was a particular cryptocurrency on a wallet that I have. I was looking at trying to stake as part of DeFi, and I made a critical mistake. I had purchased it on Coinbase. It was crypto I was trying to stake at the time through Exodus wallet. It was called Injective, and at the time it was offering like around a little over 20% yield or APY, uh, which is far far better than the banks. And I had trouble at the time during this particular time period. I had already, you could say, maybe purchased one, and I wanted to pick up some more because I was looking at. I wanted to start trying to build a stake. Like 'cause you can stake different cryptos. For those out there that are familiar with this particular wallet. And what I had done, I had made a critical mistake. At the time, I didn't know or didn't realize that there were different chains that these cryptos are on. And when I tell you guys, I'm not an expert when it comes to this. This is an example. It's just a testimony I'm sharing. I'm going to get into the story of my back recovery, which I have in the title of the video. It is healing up slowly, but surely. Thank God, you know, we will get through this. But I just wanted to share this testimony that about injective at the time, and I had reached out. I didn't know what to do. I had sent it to the wrong chain because I didn't realize Coinbase deals with ERC20 tokens, which is based off Ethereum's chain, Ethereum's ecosystem, and the particular wallet. I was informed that Exodus is like a cold storage, hot wallet, unless you have the cold storage device itself to make it totally completely cold storage. I think it's Exodus uses Trezor or something like that, and I still don't have that yet. I still haven't utilized that. By the way, I know someone who has. By the way, but this is not about that. That's neither here nor there. But just sharing the story. So what happened was when I was trying to send the tokens I had bought, transfer it over to my DeFi wallet through Exodus, I didn't realize till the last minute that I sent it to the Binance chain of Injective, that there was three different types, and I had recently only added Binance, and there was another Injective that was the regular where it has its own chain, from what Currency 365 was telling me at the time, explaining to me that Injective has its own chain itself, but there was another chain that was on Ethereum's wallet, and I couldn't tell the difference because they all looked at the time identical. And I think other people have had these problems before. There's actually videos on YouTube about many instances where people have sent cryptos to the wrong chain, how to recover them at the time. And I felt really bad because I spent, in this instance, I only bought like maybe 8 or 9 tokens, but I spent over, you could say over $200, 200 something, maybe around, I don't want to say 300, but it was still less. To some people, that's not a lot of money. To others at the time, I still felt like, oh man, I didn't know what I did. It was lost. Then I started doing a lot of research online, what to do if you lost or sent tokens to the wrong chain. So privately, I had direct message Currency 365 at the time, and he provided some insight. However, at the time, he told me the site, I had to seek out a professional. That's when they let me know that because there's some work involved, you got to really know what you're doing. If you lose cryptos, if you send it to the wrong chain, and I've heard other stories out there, you got to be careful. You got to make sure not only do you look at make sure you have the correct keys when you're exchanging, transferring cryptos to a different exchange or swapping, to make sure you have the right crypto itself exactly, but you have to make sure that it's on the right chain. So I had the crypto was injective, but it was on Binance's chain, which is totally different blockchain, versus when I found out Injective has their own chain, and Exodus as a uh, hot wallet, cold storage hot wallet, host these different exchanges, even from the same token. Some instances, there's different variations. One token, just like, for example, kind of give you guys an example. You can buy a product, the same product, at 3 different stores. Say if you're buying, a pair of clothes or electronic item, you can get it at a Walmart, Best Buy, or let's say when Circuit City was around. Maybe not a good example, but maybe Walmart, Target, and Best Buy. It sells the exact same product. It could be electronic product or clothing item you're looking for, to kind of give you guys an idea. And I was looking for. I sent from Coinbase, since it deals with Ethereum. A lot of people don't know this. which is based off Ethereum's ecosystem, or ERC20 tokens, which is like an acronym for Ethereum's ecosystem. And I don't know, like I said, I'm not an expert when it comes to like the other stuff, but this is just a general guideline. When you're sending tokens off of Coinbase from there to another chain, you got to make sure it's on the right chain. So in this particular instance, what drew me in was the ability to stake it over 20 something percent at the time. It's less than that now, by the way. And God showed me, it was amazing, why I wanted to share this testimony at the time, is I was shown in a dream, by the way, similar around the same time. It was a separate dream I had about H bar. Uh, and I was shown that in a totally separate dream that I was going to get the money back. And I said, there's no way I'm going to get the funds back, or things are going to work out, after I had made this critical mistake. Like, I had sent it, and then once I learned, because I didn't even know at first originally where you can, how to try to track your transactions on the blockchain or whatnot. I didn't know really anything. That's why I panicked. And I felt, because Currency 365, obviously he's more knowledgeable, he's a really good brother. If you get a chance, go over, subscribe to his channel, his new platform. He's dealt with censorship just like I have. I think his channel name, I haven't been over there in a while, it's called Eyes Wide Open Media, or something to that effect. If you just type in the name Currency 365, he's Prophet Rosalind Solomon is one of the contributors. He mentioned, that's how I know, because he had messaged me a while ago, and I wanted to confirm that I never got around to mention this, but her prophetic word that she had given about me was accurate, highly accurate. And I want to thank her. Believe God has done amazing works throughout the years. Kind of on a side note, and that situation is not the same, I feel, but at the same time, we want to be vigilant. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. By the way, and I want to, thank her for reaching out. My apologies that I never got a chance to reach back. I completely forgot at the time. I was still not used to this social media thing. I went away for a while. There's a lot of things that had been taking place that I wanted to touch on, talk about to you all out here. You guys know I don't go live as much as I used to at all. You guys know this, but I wanted to give you an update and let you know, this kind of piggyback when I was explaining the story about Injective. Eventually and amazingly, down the road, I had another issue I was having. One of my electronic devices, the Exodus wallet, stopped servicing as of, was it May of 2023? Not last year, but the year before last. I was still using Windows 7 on my main desktop, my main PC, so I was no longer able to access Exodus through my PC. So I had to use other means. So that's another dilemma, problem that I have. So I had to use all my thinking skills, my abilities at the time, to say, how will I recover these cryptos? This one in particular that I lost, it was like 8 of them, eight something that were missing on the chain. And I had kind of did a test before. So I know they say you should do a test. Sometimes it's, good advice. But like I said, I'm not an expert. This is not something I'm used to. I was just going by impulse. I kind of do things and impromptu, by the way. And I would say, I would admit, I was enticed by the over the 20% stake, and I just wanted to get something started, but didn't realize to the last minute I had not added that particular chain. They had it available on Exodus, the Injective Ethereum chain. I had sent the coin that I had purchased from Coinbase, I sent it to on the Binance, which had a BSC acronym, something like that, and I didn't know where it was. I was like, why didn't it show up? I was dumbfounded. Like, this is supposed to show up. It didn't show up at all. Like, what happened? I'm like, oh man, like you get that feeling, a sick feeling in your gut. If you've ever lost money before, or you had money stolen, or you made a crucial mistake where you had something sent to the wrong address you never lived before, and you have to cancel the order, you maybe get nervous or panic all of a sudden. But after this ordeal, it's amazing that I had a dream and God showed me. I believe this was definitely nothing but God, the creator. In the dream, said, "You will get that back." And I was like, wow, that's like, I said, when I woke up from that dream, I said, no, there's no way. I said to myself that that's law, that's gone. But I said, as I did more research, I started to realize, after speaking with Currency 365 briefly, and he gave me some tips, told me, in that instance, because that's some tough work. I understand he has a busy schedule. You have to somebody who really knows cryptos very well. That's really good. That knows how to retrieve cryptos if you lost on the blockchain, if you made a mistake and sent something. So I was doing a lot of research. I was looking at different videos and things, and I started to say that may be a way that I can retrieve this. That may be, and then I went through another process, and I was able to track the transaction, and I was able to see it on there. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I see it, but it didn't go to this particular wallet. So that told me, because I said, I don't really know about MetaMask. I know MetaMask is part of DeFi, but I've never dealt that deep. I've always known about it, but certain things I only go so far. I said I'm at this point where I've taken on different projects in the past, and I don't want to do things that's too complicated, if you get where I'm coming from, for me at the time. But I said I'm going to have to do the research. So I said I'm not giving up. I've got a fight in me, and I said I'm going to try to figure this out. But I was still intrigued, so I kind of left it alone for a while. I gave up on it. I just came to the conclusion that I've lost these particular cryptos. It's mainly just injective, by the way. These eight or nine that I had purchased, something around that amount. I said, forget about it. I've kind of came to peace. I still had that sick feeling at first. Like I said, if you've ever had money stolen, or if you've ever lost money before, misplaced it, you can get, what it's like, that feeling. And I said, okay, I'm still at peace with myself. I said, yeah, it's a little something, but to some people, like I said, two or $300, that's nothing. That's chump change. But to some, what they say, there's a saying that goes, "What's one man's treasure is another man's trash." So, so that may be, could be a lot to some people at the time, with depending on what you're working with. But I was just trying to move it. So, make a long story short, amazingly, as time went by and I started to think, and this was even after I stopped messing around with trying to figure out how to get it back to retrieve it, because it was too complicated. And then I started thinking to myself, I have another device out there, another electronic device that is more current, that I said maybe I can update at the time. I had a Windows 8 laptop, by the way, and they stopped simultaneously. They stopped servicing Windows 7 to 8 exits. Specifically came up with a message, and I don't like this crap, especially with these big tech companies. I feel it's a way where they always want you to update devices, but I see how the new world orders are kind of already here, in a way it was coming in, and how they can put these roadblocks and obstacles and things, and how the social credit system can really work. This was kind of an example to me, how they can just cut a person off from accessing a form of their money or tokens, at the time, even if to exchange in the currency that you're using, by the way. Because I will go there periodically, and see what different cryptos I had purchased or bought. So, to make a long story short, So getting to this story, I said, let me check. And sure enough, I looked at another device that I have. I don't really use that much my laptop because I kind of got so used to being on either my phone or my desktop that I pulled my laptop out and I did an update. And what's interesting, I didn't see the transaction originally show up on my phone, by the way. But what I did do is I did some reading and I read that if once, because Exodus has this option that you can add newer or different types of cryptos there. So I had went in when I caught after I caught the mistake, I had added the Injective's other chain, which was compatible with Ethereum's ecosystem. I had added it on. By the way, see how complex this can get if you follow my story so far. So I had added it on, and forgive me, guys, if I'm kind of all over the place, and as I'm sharing this, but this is a true story, testimony, by the way. And as I'm going through the process, and I caught it, I still didn't see it show up on my phone. So you guys wonder, like, phones have newer technology, you got to update those, and I have more of a modern phone, still, amazing capability. I just used some of the fingerprint technology not too long ago for the first time, as I had it for quite a while and never used it before, but I started using it not too long ago. But that's just to let you know. So my phone, people will say, well, why didn't you, try to retrieve them through your phone or do the update? And I originally didn't see it. So it dawned on me. I said, I had this other device and I said, what if I update? I checked to see if my laptop can be updated. And sure enough, it was able to be updated from Windows 8 to Windows 10. And I said, if I can get it to Windows 10, I have Exodus on there, the browser. I can update it to Windows 10. So what do you know? What do you know? One day, and this has been a while since this happened, but this showed me how amazing God is. I've known for years I've been clairvoyant, and I don't claim to be. I don't give myself any titles, but I have been prophesied over. I may have mentioned to you guys in the past previous videos. Some who follow my channel may know I was prophesied over uh, a famous prophet, a pretty popular amongst the Christian community, at least. He doesn't live in Michigan anymore, the last I've heard, but his name was Prophet Lee Williams some years ago. He was tied of very good friends with Pastor Rodney Parnell some years ago, and some other prophets of people, Apostle Eckhart, some other people from years ago. He moved out of Michigan. I don't know exactly where he lived at, but he had prophesied over me years ago several times. I remember one instance, my mother had even typed up one of the prophecies had given, he had given over me at the time, and spoke, great things from what I recall. And when I had this dream, and I said, "There's no way," and the dream told me, like, said it was God speaking in the dream to me. I can interpret this particular dream because sometimes my dreams are vague. They don't tell me, like the dream I had about H bar. I just had a good feeling that I knew from the dream. It didn't tell me the amount, but it went up real high, and I was like, I was happy, and I didn't remember what it was, and it was like a real happy feeling that actually manifested not too long ago. And like I said, some say we're not at the end of this bull market. We can see the best is yet to come. Where your ladder will be greater down the road. Not saying that it can go much higher than what it's already gone, but from what I had purchased, bought in at originally, I was up like 6 to 7x, something like that, which isn't bad. If you can do even, I was still below a 10x, but still from where I had bought in at, something amazing at the time happened. I still didn't sell. I'm still, holding. By the way, I was very close to, because I did admit I sold some XRP. By the way, not all of it, but at the time, uh, But to get back to the story, this particular crypto injective, as I was updating my laptop, and sure enough, I didn't know how, but when I started to update the laptop to Windows 10 and I logged into my Exodus crypto wallet, and what do you know? Sure enough, the injective tokens appeared and got added. The amount got added to my wallet, and I was so amazed and overjoyed at the time that this is an example God had showed me from the dream that I had. I didn't know how, but it came back, and this is just amazing. I just wanted to share that. Sometimes when you don't believe or you don't have faith, God lets you know or can sends you messages that you know He's still the Creator, still there, and yeah, it was amazing. I was going to share that with you guys. Well, getting into the topic, my back recovery. So my back is still healing up. I had major pain in my left leg, dealing with sciatica. Did see the doctor. They confirmed I was supposed to have a follow up appointment recently. It's been rescheduled, by the way. And I will say I'm making a miraculous recovery, because when you know the recovery time, so somebody has a back injury, especially I had a major injury this past Christmas. I was lifting a very heavy object, and I believe I sprained really bad one of the discs in my back, which may have already been herniated and led from a bad problem to worse. But it was actually a good thing that it happened to me, because it let me know that I had to be more careful with the way that I do things when I was kind of just doing work around my place, and just it was a portable power station I had bought, or no, some call a portable generator, and it was real heavy. It was like I wanted to hop on this deal at the time, because it was like I felt it was a offer you can't refuse, a Godfather offer. So that's why I purchased it. 'Cause a friend of mine asked me, he said, "Why did you need that, or why did you need to get that?" And I did end up using it at the time. It's a good, awesome device. It's part of the new technology where you're not using gas. It's not gas power where you're using fumes that can cause carbon monoxide poison and things. But if you need, in case of a power outage, it can provide you temporary power, electricity that you have. And I actually had a situation at my new apartment. Just one time though it happened. Amazingly, 1 hour I had got off work. This happened a while ago. The power had gone completely out. I looked outside. I looked in the neighborhood, and it was like it was pitch black. So it didn't just happen at the building I was in, but across the street. So I immediately contacted the light company to report the matter, and then they sent a message back. They said they're working on it. They said the power should be restored by that morning. So I was forced to actually pull it out at the time, and this is after the injury had taken place. I was still healing up, so I had to be extra careful, cautious. So this actually forced me to use the product and even test it out. It's a wonderful product. I love EcoFlow's products. I said maybe down the road, I don't know. I'm just kind of, it's a reason I haven't been in the mode to do videos and things of that sort. And I may go into that and explain. I kind of told you guys in the past what took the momentum away, why I don't do videos as much anymore periodically. And from time to time, I've given you guys updates and things I've talked about from things that I just felt was on my mind to share. But that's what happened is when on Christmas Day, before I was going over my family's house to exchange gifts. By the way, I had wanted to relocate, put it my portable generator to like a more secure location, and that's when I lifted it the wrong way, and I felt something pull really bad, and the pain immediately uh, it seemed like it came like really sharp. I thought it wasn't going to be too much. I had felt the pain like that before, but this time it was a little bit different. It felt like I overextended some more. So sure enough, when I got over, my mom's in exchange was in the process. I was in a lot of pain at the time. I made it though. I was barely able to walk. Then the next day, I had to, or was it 2 days later? Because I was due to work by Friday morning, so I had kind of just only like one day after that to kind of really recuperate. But then I had to call off work Friday because I was set to work that morning. And my supervisors, they said at the time they were afraid, they were scared because my job actually depends on I'm in like a supervisory role now. My position is very important. They just hired someone, and I guess the person quit because this literally is my job can be very stressful and tough for people to handle. Like you have to be mentally tough, even in the field that I work in. And my coworker, I had to train her that just quit. I was told just last night because we've been dealing with a snowstorm in the area. We've been hit by multiple snowstorms. By the way, may even be another one coming Wednesday, and we're gonna be hit with cold weather. And my coworker was sharing. She shared some things with me privately. By the way, and I said very similar. But she already had another job as well, and I said a lot of people that they this may be too tough for them. They can only deal, and that's basically what she told me. What she was going to try to deal with what she could as long as she could. And I know a lot of people don't stay that long. Some people stay longer, but eventually they don't make it. They fold. But as you know from years past, I'm not one to necessarily fold. I've been with this company a long time, even when the new company bought them out, purchased them. By the way, I would say I've been blessed to be in a position that was in, but I wasn't always in this particular position, a supervisory role. So this is why I tell this story when I had to call off that Friday because they know it's rare. I said this was before the end of last year, and I said, you know, I don't call off a lot unless it's something serious. So it was serious. I could barely walk, and I had to explain when I came. I actually still work for a company. It's still one of the few companies left where they still issue physical paychecks at the time. So I had to go up there and pick my physical check up, and I normally do it in person because a lot of times when there's people working schools or whatever, they need somebody to come around and pass the checks out in the morning. So they're concerned about that. One of the managers, the operations manager's done it, but I can tell he doesn't like to do it, and it appears as though he has several jobs. He's super busy, so they have me do that position. You have to be able to get up early. You have to be able to do the vehicle inspection in the vehicle. So I have a little bit of basic, maintenance skills, things I've done in the past. I actually, years ago, before I took on this role, I actually recorded videos of myself changing tires that was not necessarily in my job description, by the way, years ago, but things of that sort. So I'm kind of one of the reasons I'm sought after, by the way. And I'm not a DEI hire, by the way. What you see is what you get. So uh, companies, when my skill set has gone to the point where I told a friend of mine what he says he can see. He said it appears to him that they depend on you a lot. I made some mistakes. I still learn different things at the time, but my reliability, I'm very mentally strong, and dealing with this type of work, and after the injury that I had, you have to be tough to come back. And I came back, and it was very hard for me that Saturday because I was due to work. Because on the weekends, I have to. Lately, they've been scheduling me like several days in a row. And mind you, my shift is it's a night shift, kind of. My supervisor, when I took on this supervisory role, did adjust my hours, by the way, which compared to years past, I didn't really care for the other hours, but I've been doing nights so long that I have to, I've made, I've kind of altered my body's circadian rhythm, but I still make sure I get my sleep quite a bit based on the type of schedule that I have. You have to be working to kind of do the type of shift that I do for this amount of years. By the way, at the age that I'm at, and I have made some wonder. I've had relatives were concerned about my health. Appreciate that, friends, etc. And when you get to the point where your body can only endure, where you can only handle so much. And I've been fortunately, I've been able to make it this far, and I'm blessed for that. To say that I have the type of job, because people sometimes can look and be on the negative about things, and it could be a lot worse. Like the type of job or work that I could do could, you know, maybe could require more physical activity. Like, some deal with construction or moving jobs. That's something I would definitely, if I had a moving job, I would have probably would have had to take months off. But I was really in a lot of serious pain. I could barely walk at the time. I'm at the point now where in my recovery process, as my back is healing up, and I did some of the exercises, but like I said, you have to be careful when you do the exercises and things earlier on to rehabilitate the sciatica, the sciatic nerve, because it most likely was aggravated by the strain, the stress that I did to the disc in my back when I felt it, my lower back, lumbar section, by the way. And then it led, I had no idea, it re aggravated. And I had just seemed like I had just got rid of the sciatica from doing different exercises, because earlier in the year of last year, I had to work at schools and stuff. A lot of times I had to be outside doing dismissal, stuff like that. So I was standing up on my feet a lot. And if you know anything about sciatica, especially after a major injury like this, what I was going through, it was painful just for me to walk. But it's amazing how I know the human body can heal itself, the ability we have. And there's things that I know. I'm not a doctor, but there's secrets that I know medically about myself that I was able to, I would say, speed up the healing process. And I know there's a combination what I've learned from doing a lot of research. One of the ways is you need part of your recovery healing process is you're gonna need nutrition, nutritious foods. Even though I admit I still eat junk food from time to time. I love my sweets. I have a sweet tooth, but it was a combination other than just the painkillers. I was taking supplements, but then when I started doing, as I got to the latter part of my recovery process, I started juicing, basically like tropical smoothie cafe, but looking at the ingredients of the nutrients I was putting in me. Got advice from another friend: you have back injuries, you need to drink a lot of water, because he was telling me something about it's good, and it gets in your spine or something. But he said fluid, a lot of water, drinking a lot of water is important. So I added that, but I started basically juicing, and that seemed to start to make a significant difference. So I know it's a combination. You're going to need sleep, exercise, and nutrition is going to play a vital role in your rehabilitation efforts. Specific, if it's not, depends. Now, seriousness. Some people have more serious injuries that require physical therapy or more extreme things. I had looked into a chiropractor, things of that sort. But so far, I've got to the point where the pain. This has been a while ago, but the pain started to get pretty much manageable. It's approximately 1 month later, or exactly January 25th, which I have hold is approximately 1 month later from Christmas Day when I injured my back. it started to get to the point where I started to not really need the painkillers anymore or pain medication to get rid of the pain. I could deal with it on my own. So that let me know for sure, because it was pretty scary at first when you have a situation like this and you go from barely being able to walk. And I was like, what is happening? I said, I can't believe this. Like, I said, I'm still young, but I said, I can't be, there's no way I can be going through this. But I did a lot of research, looked up online. This these types of things have happened to, other people out there. Some people have had injuries far worse and had surgery and things of that sort. But fortunately, I know I can get through this because I believe in it in my mind. I'm mentally strong, tough. Different people have different pain tolerances, different levels, and and it's amazing that I feel, as I'm getting better, the pain is manageable, by the way, to the point where I don't have to necessarily have the painkillers. Now, from time to time, when I do get up from sleep, because I didn't want to develop atrophy, that's where you're laying down too long, you're stagnant, because it's a combination. You need the mobility, it's part of the exercise, keeping your joints moving, to stay strong. Because after so long, the way your muscles are, that's why people that have been involved in bad accidents, if they go a long time without moving those muscles or working out, then there can be repercussions from them. You can look up, what the causes. So I didn't want to develop atrophy just from sitting or, laying, but you do need to get your rest, recovery, and then you get back at it. But nutrition is also is essential in getting the proper nutrients in your body. Is going to play a vital role even as you age or you get older, especially because you have macular degeneration that sets in, where you're fighting the free radicals. You want antioxidants to fight the inflammation and oxidative stress that your body is enduring, that you're going through over time. By the way, so say wonderfully, I want to thank God that making a great progress so far. I don't want to just jump the gun yet. I still have to, be careful, just like a doctor. You have to be cautious. So probably going to have to reschedule my follow-up appointment because my birthday was not too long ago, and one of my relatives, we didn't get a chance because it was cold during my younger sister had a birthday prior to mine. Hers was January 19th. Mine's was February 9th. So my family, they wanted to go out to dinner and they rescheduled, but I'm not sure again if, I'm going to check in with them. But the doctor from the clinic had called and they said I had missed my appointment, was set for this past Wednesday. They scheduled for Monday, so I'm probably definitely going to need to reschedule that. I'm not going to be able to make that appointment. Then I was also hit with another situation dealing with the snowstorm. My car went bad not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. I did take it into the shop and get it immediately fixed because a friend of mine had shared with me. When I described what was going on, I was having a misfiring. I could tell it was the spark plugs because they asked me when I got there, and then he confirmed once they diagnosed the problem. But they said I needed to come back because the turbocharger was bad. And I remember when I went to the same particular shop that I trust, because I don't trust a lot of places. I had some electrical work done last year. The mechanic told me, he said everything's good, but he said at the time, he said your turbo is getting ready to go out or go bad. That was, you could kind of say that was about 2 years ago. So about a year later, I knew when the other guy, the head mechanic, came and told me, he said this was still making the sound. He said we fixed the other problem, but this sound right here. And I said that's about right, because I know the guy that was worked with him before, that worked on my vehicle, told me that was getting ready to go out, and I trust them. They do good work, and I go to this particular place. So I still gotta do that as a follow up, just part of domestic duties in life. Things like that unexpectedly come. Trials and tribulations, but we endure because I fight from victory, not for victory. And I will receive total healing, I believe. And I just wanted to give you guys an update. So my back recovery, the process is going slowly but surely. But like I say, to reiterate, I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm still going through the process of healing up. And I want to thank you all that still do continue to follow the channel, still rock with me. Those have been subscribed for a while now. And just to kind of give you guys some tips out there, this is kind of an impromptu. I didn't title the video in relation to this, but I did mention maybe in one of my previous videos, I have from a very reliable source. Now, you still may want to treat this as, possibility, because we've heard this so many times before. But this particular one of my sources, because I have several out there, stated to me that it appears as though this will be the year, or I say should be the year, that the reset with the dinars and stuff like that is going to occur. And there's some other things that's tied in with XRP, some things people that have kept up with the information throughout the years knows about that. XRP is going to be part of the new banking system, basically the new Bitcoin, by the way, and some other things of that sort I've touched on in videos a while ago. I've told you guys that are on this channel to go back and watch the videos. You can see the description and the thumbnails. I haven't really messed around even putting thumbnails. Those are the images, the layouts that you see over the video. If you go back and watch my previous videos on this channel, and I actually laid out for you, big shout out to my private source, and he did get permission from, I'll say, overseer to share that information from what was relayed, but other things they stated they could not share because they are under a non-disclosure agreement. I do respect non-disclosure agreements, and thank you for those that have been able to share what you've been able to share, but I understand some things they can't go into details about, and I can kind of figure out and I can kind of interpret some other things. Even though I had been frustrated, I had been upset about some things, it's really not too much I can do, but I just kind of can relay this and share that little tidbit of information with you all. Hopefully you all appreciate it. And thank you. Let's see, we had one person in the chat so far said, bro, is this live? Yes, we are live, by the way. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I think I'm getting ready to shut things down. I pretty much have talked about what I was going to share in this particular video. I covered, the title was dealing with my back recoveries, the healing process, and the prophet from the prophecy. I didn't have enough to put it in the full title, but there was a prophetic word that Prophet Rosalind Solomon had warned me of. I wanted to confirm she was correct when she stated at the time, during this particular time period, that the Lord had given her, that there was some people that were after me, that they were upset with me at the time. And I think I kind of have an idea of what that was related, but I want to say I can confirm that to be true because of those who have been the silent majority behind the scenes. If you read between the lines, where we go one, we go all. As I'm kind of speaking in code there, have done things behind the scenes and know many of us, even at a smaller level, that are not as big as some names or certain individuals out there, came under attack by the deep state. I was on a call some years ago and I brought this up. I really did come under attack, and it's another reason why I had a relative. This reminds me, I was going to do a separate video about this, why I'm not on Facebook anymore. I still do have a Facebook account, but I'm not hardly on there. It's like another account that I use. It was under my rap name. I used to be part of a rap group some years ago, and it's under the account J Trey, and I'm not hardly on there. But my personal Facebook account was under my middle and my last name. The last time I was on there, and And I guess my relative, they told me they put a birthday message or something on there, and they were trying to get me to log in. I told them I hadn't logged in that account in like over 2 or 3 years. I intentionally, after they did what they did in 2020, and after that, and I was censored drastically, even on this channel, by the way, and that's why I can only do videos. The only reason I can still go live is because of this StreamYard software. I wouldn't have never known, or else because they banned my other smaller channel that was connected to my, this was my bigger channel. Somehow it locked me out, and the only reason I can still do live videos or go live is because the StreamYard software is attached. So I did go under censorship, and I want to thank God that the man, some called DJ T, got in there, because there's a lot of corruption that's being exposed. There's a lot of stuff coming out where former President John F. Kennedy created the what is that program called, the aid program for foreign countries for relief and things. The forget the acronym, but you guys know, as corruption is being uncovered. There's a forensic accounting audit that is happening. By the way, they don't want to tell you it's a lot of corruption. That's the purpose of Doge, and Doge is actually not. The name was changed but there's a particular law I was informed that you cannot just get rid of a government agency. So what they did was DJT looked in and read the Affordable Care Act and saw a loophole. There was an agency that was already created for government efficiency, but it was not being used for that like it was supposed to. And this funding, was it HAID or whatever, that John F. Kennedy originally created for foreign aid for other countries, has been used as a slush fund by Democrats and money laundering and things of that sort is being uncovered. It came out that Stanford University was involved with some group in the state of Wisconsin with censoring Gateway Pundit separately, and many people on Parler. And I forgot, I used to be on, I was on Parler, and I always wondered what happened. It seemed like that was a major up and coming, internet web hoster that was similar to Twitter. It was based off Twitter because they were, before Elon had bought Twitter, they were censoring, kicking a lot of conservatives. So we went over to Parler, and I remember Jack Dorsey had said at the time, no relation, by the way, that I'm aware of, that there's other platforms that conservatives can go on, or people that are independent thinkers, etc. He kind of alluded to and said it publicly that, okay, why didn't these liberal social media platforms up front let conservatives know, or people on the right or independent minds, that they wanted these platforms to only be for liberals, for leftists. And this has been an ongoing fight for a long time over freedom of speech. And we know the big tech companies, I've called them, you guys have heard me say this, big tech bullies, by the way, have been very biased. You don't vote a certain way, you don't speak a certain particular way. They just kick you, deplatform you right off the platform. They were doing these types of things, and I'm just glad that something's being done about it. And I think more needs to be done, and people need to be prosecuted and go to jail, because they hurt people's livelihoods. They went after people's money, ad revenue, etc. Like what they did to Laura Loomer was horrible. Luke Radowski, just to name a couple out there. It's been hundreds of people, numerous people. Even Philip Scott with the Africa Diaspora Tarot. I remember years ago when he was up just under Philip Scott and Lovely T.I. at the time. Just throwing out different names of digital creators that have been on YouTube space for a while, or content creators, influencers that are much bigger than myself. that had been heavily censored, even when YouTube originally had they called it the adpocalypse. So back in 2016, say created these new algorithms and things of that sort. So there's evidence and facts behind this. This is not just so-called conspiracy theory. And I had told you guys about a case that I had found that federal court just below the Supreme Court, a judge had ruled on and had told the Biden-Harris administration to stop what they were doing, and they still continue to do it at the time. And this is, but of course, this won't get the type of coverage because the mainstream media platforms are very biased and one-sided because they're very liberal funded, liberal controlled, like MSNBC, mainstream media, and things in general, ABC News, NBC Nightly News, ABC World News, and CBS. They're very biased in their reporting. They would not talk about this. But Google, actually, if you look up, they lost a lawsuit that showed they were still spying on people. I was shocked to find out how people had sued because of the incognito, that's the private web browser through Google Chrome, had sued. You can look up, they had lost a lawsuit. I think Google may have appealed, but you can look up the results that there's been big cases. That's one of the reasons Facebook changed the name to Meta. But I told, my relative at the time who wanted me to log back into Facebook, and I had intentions on not going back to that account when I said I was boycotting. And I said, if I do go back on there, I'm going to delete just everything. Like I did this to another Facebook account I had in the past. I logged in, the email is still up, but it's totally virgin. I still have all the messages and stuff from like years past. They changed the DM or whatnot, but I said I didn't really have any intents, and I haven't logged into that account. I can't even remember in how long. It's definitely been well over a year. It's been like over 2 years, maybe two, going on 3 years. It's been quite a while. So I don't really use. I am on Instagram, and some say, well, Facebook bought Instagram, but I use if I do go on Facebook, just to let you guys know, just being straight up out there. I have my other accounts share my videos on there just to help them maybe get more views if I decide to. But a lot of times, even when I've done videos on here, I haven't even posted them because I just got so perturbed, just kind of disenfranchised and alienated because of what they have done with the censorship. I am someone that has gone through that and has dealt with that personally, in case you're wondering. And yeah, I'm glad to see retribution taking place, and I hope they prosecute everyone and go after people that are involved in this USAID scandal, which I found out was originally created by John F. Kennedy to help countries with foreign aid, but it turned into a slush fund for Democrats to launder money and not do what's right for the American people, and a lot of corruption taking place that's being uncovered. So I hope that they, like I said, to reiterate, because if the shoe was on the other foot, which we saw what was happening, the censorship was coming from the left. Communism was coming from the left, not the right. Socialism. They were going after people for the freedom of speech. I found out it's a case going on now where a young boy he's appealing to the Supreme Court to wear a shirt that says that there are only two genders. And I thought if we had freedom of speech on the books already, as long as your freedom of speech, as long as you're not making terroristic threats. Well, I was informed years ago by teachers in grade school, high school, that you don't yell fire in a movie theater. That's your speech. Even if someone disagrees with that speech, that's your right to express yourself. And it's explicitly clear in the Constitution. I don't know why judges who've gone through all this schooling have such a difficult time going by, but we know many of these judges, not all, certain portion are corrupted and the courts had become weaponized. But freedom of speech was explicitly clear. And that's why I roll more so with the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party, by the way. And I said I should do a separate video because February, not only my birthday in February, but February is also Black History Month. And I know I might have some subscribers that don't want to hear about this type of stuff. But what irks me is a lot of people in the Black community don't know the real history about the Democratic Party and why I hold Democrats more accountable than Republicans. And I'm not afraid to say that. Democrats are more accountable, and I'm gonna tell you why. Democrats created and passed legislation for the Jim Crow laws, contrary to popular belief. That was not Republicans. That was the Democratic Party. Democratic Party also passed legislation, passed laws for the Black Code separately, very similar to the Jim Crow laws, but distinctly separate, especially in places like Mississippi, other places that had, worse effects. I call the trickle effect, even after integration was passed, why it still affected minorities, people of color in these particular southern states, which was controlled by Democrats. That was part of the Confederacy. Harriet Tubman was allies with the North. That was the Yankees, the Northern Party, which Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The only mistake I would say Abraham Lincoln made is a major mistake. He appointed a Democrat as his vice president after he was assassinated. Was it Andrew Johnson, who was from Tennessee? They had just he was still loyal to the Union, which Lincoln liked, but Tennessee had just joined the Confederacy, which was the South. Remember, the South was defeated by the North, the Union, the Southern states. The Northern states had already outlawed slavery, by the way. I've had historians, people more knowledgeable than myself, and I'm very well studied, by the way. And I've even discovered this. There was slavery even at one time in Michigan, but it was outlawed as far back as the 1700s. The transatlantic slave trade, contrary to popular belief, those flat earthers and some Hebrew Israelites pushing this twisted, sick, demented ideology for their own manipulative purposes that are not based in actual archaeological data and records that have been kept, that are accessible. By the way, we know some records is hard to get a hold of, but there is groups out there, as the elder put me up on one particular channel that covers names of actually people that live, that the transatlantic slave trade happened not only in the this continent, but South America as well. They were able to name people, including and prove evidence of breeding farms and names of actual people of that sort. So don't tell me that we all are Indians or we all are Hebrew Israelites and all these ideologies. No, we were mixed into the population. You have to include these other groups. By the way, it's not a one size fits all formula. By the way, we're mixed into the population. By the way, and you have to include the other parts of history from different ethnic groups, different nationalities. It's not just one sided. And these were different groups. And there was also a caste system. Like when I looked up my ancestry, the Native Americans were higher up in the caste system above the slaves, by the way. As I had a relative on my father's side, they were only allowed to see their wife who was in captivity and their son. But in the caste system, they had more freedom, basically, than their wife. But they were allowed to mate. They were allowed to breed at the time. And it's history that goes more extensive than that, by the way. This is historically documented. You have to know how to research properly, provide archaeological evidence, data. You go to the Library of Congress, the National Archives, courthouses, as one friend of mine, his relative, had done, as he put his uncle, who had done great research immensely before he passed away, and discovered, which is ties in with the movie that Spike Lee did about Malcolm X, when he discovered these surnames, by the way. And at one time, we didn't have surnames. That's why many Black Americans who were property these last names, many of them were owned by the plantation owner by default. In some instances, they did not have last names. I said the history can be uncomfortable, but it's a truth that we need to delve into. Where at one time, some black people that lived on plantations you were considered 3/5 of a human. You weren't even considered a human at all, and some even didn't even adopt the last names. They were just referred to as in very derogatory names that you guys probably wouldn't want me to repeat, or the YouTube algorithm would probably flag if I named. I've told someone else this, but this is documented and confirmed from a good friend of mine's uncle. Went to courthouses and researched this in the South and uncovered amazing data behind what I just covered, by the way. So, contrary to popular beliefs out there, I have a team of friends, top two of my friends who are historians. Their research is impeccable, by the way, with the topics that we cover and the data of that sort. But going back to Black History Month is February, by the way, but this would be a whole separate topic within itself. It is something I'm passionate about. You guys know, separately, despite me leaning towards the right, that I do support reparations 10 toes down, deep in the trenches. Uh, Even though it's not favorable, some don't like to discuss it. Even a friend of mine that is conservative, but I say the difference is that I'm not like a leftist. Many liberals who you disagree with them on something, they don't want to talk to you again or invite you somewhere. We're not. I tell my friend this. We're not like that. We can have good dialogue, and we can still pat each other's back and be brothers at the end of the day. And but I think this dialogue is important to get the right, correct history, because once again, the reason I personally hold the Democratic Party responsible, and a lot of Black Americans, especially African American women, you need to get your facts right, including Joy Reid from MSNBC. You need to understand it was the Democratic Party that voted for and passed legislation for the Jim Crow laws, and separately the Black codes, by the way, which we know after integration lasted, and I call the trickle effects. And the damage was not repaired, which the onus, because the Democratic Party is responsible, which that was not the Republican Party, by the way. Republican Party historically started many historically Black college universities. The Republican Party were the abolitionists. Frederick Douglass, I found out before Abraham Lincoln started to change his ways, before he passed the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the slaves. He had actually met with Abraham Lincoln. By the way, remember Frederick Douglass became a free man. White woman helped teach him how to write. He was also one of the abolitionists that helped to fight to end slavery. He was a Republican, by the way, Abraham Lincoln. So it was the Republican Party. And many liberals or Democrats say, oh, not too much has changed. XYZ, that, or they say that it's not the same anymore, that things have changed, and that isn't necessarily true. Let me correct that. That when you look back at the history, I found out, and I can give you receipts during Obama's, when he was still in president back in 2011, the Democratic National Convention, I found out from doing research, this is a fact, they found out that a grand wizard from the Ku Klux Klan had spoke. Notice they always try to refer to the right or the Republicans as the KKK. But I'm going to give you some facts. Look up the correlation between the Ku Klux Klan and the Democratic Party. When they discovered this in the historical records, 2011, it's a specific year. I'm giving you receipts from my impeccable research, facts, but you have to research it. A lot of times, because they control these leftist super conglomerate corporations like the Googles, the Apples out there, may censor this information like they already did, or like Berkeley University, or like these liberal professors that want to brainwash the ideology of the students and not teach them the real historical facts so they have the proper context to the history to understand what actually happened, what actually occurred. By the way, it was the Democratic Party, once again, that voted for, passed legislation for the Jim Crow laws and the black codes. It was not the Republican Party. Understand that. Just that alone is very significant historically to understand. You can just, if you don't want to do a lot of work, and say, oh, Dorsey, some people say, oh, that's too much, the research, or that's too much on my mind. No, it's not. If you can blabber off the mouth and act like you know some stuff and watch MSNBC and all this other crap, you can do your research and do your homework. It's not hard. It's not difficult. It does not take rocket science with as much information and data that we have out here on the internet to read. But just warning you, places like Berkeley University, other Stanford recently, which was caught in this USAID scandal, caught censoring Gateway Pundit, conservative platforms, Parler, and targeting people as this forensic accounting audit is taking place. And I say, thank God that all this corruption that the Democrats have been doing, not doing right by the people. And they claim to be the party for the small guy, for the little guy. But that's not the people's champion, and that's not actually the case. So I would employ one and many out there to do their homework behind the Democratic. I probably need to do a separate video again to go over my comparisons between the Democratic Party. Now, I'm not saying, despite that, it's not a one-size-fits-all formula, but I said the reason why the southern states, I'm speaking in terms according to some black Americans, will seem more or more discriminatory or more prejudiced. I would say prejudice, which is prejudging instead of racism. The reason that's the case is the Jim Crow laws, which the Democratic Party voted for and passed, which MSNBC, Joy Reid, Get Your Facts Right, will not tell you historically. Voted for and passed, which affected minorities. That wasn't the Republican Party once again. That was the Democratic Party. Voted for and passed legislation, as well as black codes specifically for the states of Mississippi and some other states, which are similar but separate and distinct in itself when you study the historical data behind the Jim Crow laws and the black codes. So I shut Democrats down because liberals have nowhere to run, especially after all this corruption has been uncovered, especially after Kamala Harris lost the election. And it's come out that Al Sharpton, Roland Martin, Oprah Winfrey, all these people, Beyonce, all these different people, Megan Thee Stallion, were paid and received a bag for promoting. That shows who the real coons, so-called coons are, or house Negroes that you claim that the other side is supposed to be. You guys took money and it came out. And Roland says, oh, so what? You're just grifters, just like the Black Lives Matter movement. What did it change? What did you do specifically? You know, it's because it's so cool to say, oh, I got black pride, but you don't care. And you've turned your back on the black community and you won't even teach the true context of the history. Yeah. So like I'm saying, go back and research your data, your facts about the history between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I was touching on earlier, it was the Democratic Party during Obama, when he was still president in 2011. The Democratic National Convention got rid of the historical records that showed it was a Grand Wizard from the Ku Klux Klan that spoke at the first Democratic National Convention. They were so embarrassed by it because they were Democrat. They erased it from the record. But why would they do that? Because we know Democrats support cancel culture, so they love going way back in history. Just like, remember, they did to the comedian Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart said, hey, I'm tired of this right think mentality. What Dr. Ben Carson calls he calls it political correctness. The PC police will come after you. They went after Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart at the time, he said, I'm tired of this crap. They went all the way back and didn't like something he said on Twitter because they're pushing that agenda with the alphabet community. So I personally when I heard one of my liberal relatives at the time was watching MSNBC, and I was just briefly going over to pick a package up that I had received. Was trying to convince me, Trump is a lot worse now, this, that, and the other. What did, as Kamala and Biden were already in power, what significantly did they do that changed? What I do like about Trump, he's a man of action. He's doing things. Many Democrats throughout the years have made promises, this, that, and the other. Trump also declassified the Kennedy and Martin Luther King, those files. To me, that's important. Get the real facts, the real information out here. Why was that being covered up? And it was mainly by establishment people, by the way. Because yes, I know some Republicans that are involved that are establishment as well. But why every time when Bush was president, Obama became president, why were those records reclassified? Why weren't they not fully declassified after so many years? All these years later, what did they have to hide? Because if the American people learn the truth, what actually happened, you will find out it was the same deep state that's going after Trump that tried to kill him in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's the same coordinated network that murdered John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evans, etc. You will learn it's still part of that same network of these corrupt people, part of this deep state who are part of secret societies or answer to the cabal that are their lower level minions. That's what they don't want you to know about. Yes, but you need to learn your history and learn your facts before you go running off at the mouth just because you getting your programming from the mainstream media, or you going by what Lester Holt or David Muir is telling you from ABC Nightly News. No, people don't trust the mainstream media no more. I'm not saying that sometimes they don't report on good stories or positive things or inform you about things happening in the world, but you need to research for yourself independently and don't just trust what they say, but go and do your own homework. And I've always encouraged you guys, don't take my word for what I say as gold. Don't take just what Dorsey says doesn't mean, I've always encouraged you guys to go research the information for yourself. And I'll leave you all with that. I've said a mouthful, what I can think of, but like I said, sometimes it irks me that a lot of Black Americans, that they don't understand. They try to say, well, when it comes to the Democrats and Republicans years ago, it's not the same anymore. No, they don't know. Did you know John F. Kennedy based his civil rights bill? They passed that to honor him after they killed him, but he based that off the Republican Party. Did you know the Republican Party created the original legislation for the Civil Rights Act? They created, and Lyndon Baines Johnson actually voted against it twice, by the way. He voted against it. Remember, he was part of the deep state at the time. Remember, he took over after Kennedy was killed. You know what Lyndon Baines Johnson's other first order of business was? To get rid of Executive Order 111100 that Kennedy passed to take us off the Federal Reserve and put us on the Treasury. That's why you go to a coin shop, look up those United States notes that have the red numbers on it, the red ink, red dye on those notes instead of the green that you see today. Those were the United States notes that were issued by the Treasury. And they stopped issuing after his executive order was rescinded. I found out allegedly Lyndon Baines Johnson's first order of business, because he worked for the bankers, was to get rid of Kennedy's executive order 111100. So that also has a lot to do with the reason Kennedy was taken out. You can point to the Federal Reserve, the bankers involved. And that's why I told you guys, go back and watch the movie Money Masters, Monopoly Men. Go watch the movie Ring of Power, Empire of the City, so you guys can connect the dots. I will provide all the evidence and enough historical data that you guys need to identify who the deep state is and who the actual real members of the Illuminati are, establishment, that are corrupt, evil people. And it's a shakeup going on. Like many of these in these positions, such as attorney generals out there, if you're wondering where those mass firings, I knew that was coming because there was actually a pastor last year I don't remember his name, but he was a guest on InfoWars. And him and some other people had uncovered, done some research, who the deep state actually was. And they were in key positions of power, and they were doing things is covering up the people, same people that tried to kill Trump. And that was a real assassination attempt. Many people tried to say that was a hoax. And that was actually a real man that died at that rally. He was a firefighter, by the way, shielding his wife and his daughter. You can look up research. There were two other people who were wounded. They were treated. They survived. But there was a firefighter who actually was in the rally as a spectator with his family that was murdered. And how do you explain the blood all of a sudden on Trump's face? So he was shot in the ear. By the grace of God, he survived, by the way. And then you got these flat earth people out here, these crazy nutcases, trying to say that was a hoax. I mean, and they call us the conspiracy theorists. Okay, yeah, right. That you have to be a hell of an actor to get props done that quick in that instance. Just because it looked the way that it did to some, no, that was a real assassination attempt. That was not a hoax. Some of the most retarded stuff I've heard, and other people have debunked, proven this with sound data and other things. When you get right down to the forensics of what actually happened, private investigators that went in and they were being intimidated because there was a massive cover up, and it's alleged reports coming out. If you follow the independent media, that the governor, Josh Shapiro, may have been involved and played a role, but we do know the head of Secret Service at the time, that some of the whistleblower Secret Service agents that spoke out, named Ronald L. Rowe, you can look up, who was the head of Secret Service. And he took over after Kimberly Cheeto didn't want to step down. Kind of reminds me of that time when they questioned this guy years ago. They said, Mr. Kuchikari, we don't question that you're working hard, but we question, who are you working for? We don't question that you're working hard, Kimberly Cheeto, but we ask the question, who ordered you, or who are you working for? And I'm glad Marjorie Taylor Greene grilled her ass hard and gave her that smoke, gave her that work. Yes. And she finally stepped down after that. But remember, she didn't want to step down. But why did Ronald L. Rowe stepped in power? But when he got questioned hard, he got triggered when they showed a photo of him next to Kamala and Biden. Mighty funny, at some 9/11 event when Trump was on the other side, at honoring at the same particular event. You know, why is the head of Secret Service? And we know up front he didn't want to provide when John F. Kennedy, remember, Robert Kennedy Jr. was running. He didn't want to provide. I might have lost you guys for a while. I'm back, but we know where it's mighty funny that when Robert Kennedy Jr. was originally running for president and Trump, they were talking about, the independent media was reporting on this. Mind you, the mainstream media like MSNBC, ABC, Nightly News, they were not reporting on this. But the independent media, this is how I found out. They were complaining that security during a certain time as they were running needed to be provided, Secret Service protection. And they were not, they were being ignored. But there's Band.video can go into more details about those specific reports. There's independent media out there that can explain what was going on. So we knew that these things were happening, these lapses. And so I'm glad Ronald L. Smoke, he got grilled. He got that smoke. Ronald L. Rowe is his name. Look up Ronald L. Rowe. He took over after Kimberly Cheeto stepped down, but they said he was already in charge in the beginning. They said it's like the fox guarding the hen house. You put the guy who may have oversaw the assassination. It's believed to be the former head of Homeland Security that worked under Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, who was also allegedly rumored to be involved in child smuggling that is being used as a cover. But glad this info is coming out with USAID. Is this corruption is being uncovered, that John F. Kennedy originally created that organization to help with foreign aid and positive things, and it got turned into a slush fund and money laundering operation for Democrats that has been being uncovered. Speak of that, Roland Martin, and all you other agents out there, and Al Sharpton, who we know wore the wiretap to take down Assata Shakur and was known, as a friend of mine told me, known FBI rat. He worked with the FBI, by the way. You can't make this stuff up. And they pay you off, and that's how you get rewarded in the end. Yeah, read between the lines, but facts. Found out, yep. So cab driver came out years ago, said he recognizes Al Sharpton was in the back of his cab at the time. He was the guy, he was wearing the wiretap. He worked with the FBI to take down Tupac's godmother, Assata Shakur. Independent media covered this years ago, as I had to tell some people on my before my account got censored. By the way, there's only two independent media I saw, or maybe three at the time, that covered this. There was InfoWars, Philip Scott with Africa Diaspora Media, and maybe Dr. Boyce Watkins had covered it. But I do know Philip Scott and Alex Jones both covered at one point in time. There was a previous story ran a while ago that Al Sharpton is pretty known because remember he worked to take down mafia gangsters, but he worked with the FBI. He wore the wiretap. I was also informed to take down a black entrepreneur in Detroit, Michigan, formerly years ago known as LeVan Hawkins, who owned Pizza Hut, Burger King franchises. I was informed Al Sharpton worked with the FBI to wear a wiretap to take down LeVan Hawkins. So he's a known FBI rat and informant, by the way. And you know how the black community, the Black Panthers, by the way, if you're supposed to be pro-black, Huey P. Newton or students of Fred Hampton, how they feel about FBI rats and informants, especially people of color. So get your facts right. Who you call coon, this, that, and the other. There's no type of agent in me, as I've been exposing, and it can be more powerful stuff to come. I know I've said a mouthful, but you better get your facts straight before you come accusing people of being agents and stuff like that. Because I can break down who the real agents are, and you don't want me to go into the secret societies and the Masons, because I never went through no actual official initiation. I'm independently researched and very well studied. So I'm just saying, get your facts straight out there. But I've said a mouthful this video. I went off topic. I do know that. But, as usual, I do what I do. Appreciate you guys who continue to rock with the channel. Dorsey's Resource. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Once again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time. Peace. I'm out.